begin this hour with breaking news. Minutes ago, CNN confirmed that the FAA has indefinitely shut down the low-altitude helicopter corridor that was in use at the time of Wednesday's mid-air collision that killed 67 people. CNN has exclusively obtained two videos that show the crash from angles we had not seen before. They're right here on your screen. You see the Army Black Hawk helicopter on the left, apparently flying right into the path of the American Airlines plane. And here's another video capturing the moment before the impact. The helicopter is traveling over the Potomac River as the plane makes its descent to Reagan National Airport. And some experts are wondering if the Army pilot was confused by the other bright lights and didn't see the approaching plane, perhaps confusing it with another plane. Also this morning, the New York Times is reporting that the Black Hawk may have strayed off course. Quote, the military helicopter appears to have been flying too high and outside its approved flight path at the time of the crash, according to four people briefed on the matter, but not authorized to speak publicly, end quote. NTSB investigators have recovered both the voice and data recorders from Flight 5342 and hope to have a preliminary report ready within the next 30 days. CNN's Renee Marsh is at Reagan National. Renee, what are we learning about this FAA action to close the helicopter corridor?
Right, Pamela, that is the latest development here as this investigation is underway, and this is quite a significant move, the first significant aviation safety move since this mid-air collision outside of Reagan National Aerospace Airport concerning the airspace surrounding the airport. Now, this airspace that has been shut down by the FAA is used not only by commercial airliners coming and going from this airport, but also military aircraft as well as law enforcement aircraft. But in light of that mid-air collision, the FAA has made the determination to close traffic to anything except for those commercial aircraft. And you talked about this other new reporting that I'm sure investigators are also going to be looking into, which is whether or not this helicopter left the proper altitude that it should have been. And if this deviation away from the altitude that it should have been at, this Black Hawk, is actually confirmed, it would certainly mean that the pilot of that Black Hawk was not following flight regulations at that time because these helicopters are supposed to be flying at very specific altitude, 200 feet or less. And so that is certainly something that investigators will be zeroing in on when they retrieve the black box from the Black Hawk helicopter. That has not been retrieved yet, but they have retrieved the black boxes from the commercial passenger plane. They are already starting work on that. It is in their labs. They have opened it and they've begun the process of reviewing the data from those black boxes. We know that investigators say that they are confident, based on the condition of the black boxes from the commercial passenger plane, that they will be able to get data from it. Also, the NTSB is tapping into their expertise across the country. We got word today that they have tapped one of their members from Alaska. They have flown that individual in. He is a former pilot of a Black Hawk helicopter, so tapping into his expertise on that. And of course, another crucial part of this investigation, Pamela, is going to be the air traffic controllers. We do know that the NTSB at this hour, they have not yet had interviews with the air traffic controllers, so that is soon to come. Pamela?
And there was this near miss the day before the collision between an airplane and helicopter. Tell us about that.
Right, just further highlighting the complicated airspace that is the airspace around Reagan National Airport. It was just the day before this mid-air collision that another passenger plane coming in for a landing had to actually abort landing because another helicopter had come too close into its path. We have the sound from the air traffic control for that incident. Let's take a listen.
This Travis, a helicopter over Georgetown, northbound, 300 feet.
Yes, sir. We had an RA, but 4514 is going around.
We had an RA with the helicopter traffic below us.
So clearly with this, the incident that is being investigated today, you have that previous incident it has clearly become evident to investigators that this complicated airspace, something needed to be done more immediately, even though this investigation is ongoing. And Pamela, again, that headline today, the FAA shutting down this airspace around Reagan National Airport to those military helicopters.
Yeah, that's a big development. Renee Marsh, thank you. And our next guest is a former air traffic controller who personally shut down New York City's airspace on 9/11, and he may have been the first person to realize America was under attack that day. Michael McCormick joins us now. Thanks for your time. So as a former air traffic controller, what was your immediate reaction when you learned about this crash and subsequently as more evidence is coming in to process?
Pamela, just like the rest of the country, I was absolutely shocked when I learned of this mid-air collision, especially with the loss of life on board both aircraft. This is not something that we would expect to see within the air traffic control community. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the passengers and crew on board both aircraft, and also to the air traffic controllers of Washington National, who I'm sure are having a very difficult time right now.
My heart feels for them because I think about that moment when the collision happened, and then the air traffic controller had to see the collision and then immediately pivot and deal with all the other planes coming in and redirecting them to the other airports in the area. I mean, talk about true professionalism. But you have to wonder what they're thinking, how they're feeling right now. According to the New York Times, audio recordings reveal that the passenger jet was originally cleared by the control tower for one runway and then was cleared for another runway. What is your assessment of that and just the timing here of the communication with the helicopter pilot just around 13 seconds before the collision happened?
That is not an unusual maneuver for Washington National Airport. The main runway is what the aircraft was initially sequenced for. The controller made the decision to circle the aircraft to runway 33, and that allows the tower to be able to get more departures off of the main primary runway, while the aircraft was circling to land on the secondary runway. Unfortunately, because of that maneuver, it put American right into the flight path of the helicopter.
And a source tells CNN that one controller was working two positions at the time of the crash. I think that for the layperson, you're like, oh my gosh, what? They were working two positions covering the helicopters and the planes, but apparently that's common practice. Should it no longer be common practice?
It is a common practice in all air traffic control facilities that you open and close positions based upon the volume and complexity at any given time. That provides maximum flexibility to handle what's going on in a control tower or in any other air traffic control facility. In this instance, it was actually a good thing because now you have one controller who's actually talking to and controlling both of the aircraft. Otherwise, if it was a separate controller, then the two controllers would have to constantly coordinate back and forth about what is happening and what they're choosing to do.
Just taking a step back, I often think about how stressful that job is to be an air traffic controller. Just bring us into what it's like to be one and sort of the daily stress and the pressure that you're under. I mean, I can't even imagine what they're feeling right now. And you heard President Trump talking about it yesterday, not to make this political, but he's blaming DEI policies without having the evidence to support that. And I just want you to tell us from your experience what it's like.
I believe the air traffic control profession is what is known as a meritocracy, and that is only the best can go through the rigorous selection program, the screening program, and then the 1 to 5 year training program prior to receiving their certification. So having gone through that, we are very proud to have professionals who are competent and dedicated to providing the safest service in the world. And as a controller, I think there's nothing more gratifying, more fulfilling than being able to provide that service to our country. And There is no stress. When you enjoy your profession, you do not feel the stress. You deal with the responsibilities. You compartmentalize, as in the case of when this accident occurred, the controller immediately moved to where their priorities were. And that is air traffic control.
It's just remarkable. It really is. Michael McCormick, thank you.